how to start this video, but if you told me 6 years ago that one day I'd be making this video, I would not have believed you. I thought I was gonna be vegan for the rest of my life, but sometimes things don't go as planned. So over the past year, I've been getting comments and DMs of people kind of picking up on it, asking me questions, asking for an update. So in the spirit of being transparent with you guys, I figured I'd make this video about my journey being vegan from age 14 to 20. I'm now 21, and these past 6 or 7 years of my life have been so essential in molding the person that I am now. It's literally been a third of my life, and the third that I've been the most conscious for. If you've watched my videos before, you probably know I haven't always had the best self-confidence. I've dealt with restrictive eating issues, just generally not liking myself, and it's taken me a really long time to get to the place I am right now, where I finally have a neutral relationship with food. It doesn't control my life anymore. I can eat casually and not think about it. So if I can act as an older sister to any of you guys, give you some of my guidance that I've learned, I want to do that. So here we are. So I'm gonna go over why I went vegan, how it affected me, what I learned, and why I eventually stopped last year. I've got all my notes here because I'm afraid I'm gonna miss something. So I was vegan for over 6 years. I went vegan when I was 14 in May of 2016. I was a freshman in high school, and I'd been looking into going vegan since 7th and 8th grade, so I was like 12, 13 when I started researching it. I found veganism through what I eat in a day on YouTube. I was a young child trying to figure out what I should eat to lose weight, and the vegan videos looked the prettiest, so I was like, okay, let me click that. Also, I've talked before about how in elementary school I basically like developed a phobia of eating in front of people because I was afraid they would judge the food I ate, and like if I was eating something ugly, then like I would be ugly. So if I could eat fresh fruits and vegetables, ooh, I'm vegan, my vegan meal, suddenly I felt like I wouldn't be as self-conscious. Like in my head, vegan foods were skinny foods. So if I was seen eating skinny foods, then suddenly I was like, all my problems were solved. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but that's just how my brain worked at the time. I also did real research. I watched all the documentaries, read up on studies, saw how eating plant-based could really help the environment, used up less land, less water. Obviously, you're not hurting any animals. I was sold. It made sense to me, but I was so young. And the reason I looked into it was still not a great reason. My goal was to lose weight when I really didn't need to lose weight. Something that was really damaging to me, I don't know if many of you guys are familiar with the vegan community that was on YouTube in 2016, but it was so crazy. Like when people say veganism is a cult, that YouTube community legitimately was a cult. And I was like watching all their videos and eating it up, literally. To be clear, I don't think veganism is a fad diet, but within veganism, there are a lot of them. I was following these crazy vegan people that were pushing high carb, low fat, raw till 4, 80-10-10, legitimately like pushing their young viewers to count their calories, make sure they weren't eating too many grams of fat every day. Their whole thing was like, you can eat as many carbs as you want, as long as you eat no fat, you'll never gain weight. So I was like, okay, I'm doing it. The 80-10-10 diet meant that 80% of your calories came from carbs, 10% came from fats, 10% came from proteins. And the only way you can track that is by downloading a calorie counting app. So I was using MyFitnessPal like crazy, trying to make sure I didn't break their rules. And that lasted for like years during my childhood and core development years. Like I was going through puberty, I was in middle school, and I was counting my calories and going crazy. And I look back and I think it is so irresponsible that all of those YouTubers were pushing this crazy diet mentality on their young viewers. You might have heard the name Freely the Banana Girl. She's crazy. And Mr. and Mrs. Vegan, they're crazy. I was getting, wow. And both of them, I think, like, disappeared off of the face of the earth. Like, I have no idea what they're up to now. So for the first year or two of being vegan, I was super restrictive. I was using MyFitnessPal. If you don't know what that is, good for you. It's basically a calorie counting app. And because I was listening to so much nonsense online, I developed like a legitimate oil phobia. I actually can talk about this too. We both were like so anti-oil. If our mom like even sprayed a little bit of cooking oil on a pan, we would flip out and be like, Mom, we didn't want oil, don't put oil. And I would read every nutrition label, and if it contained any amount of oil, even if it was like the last ingredient, like smallest amount, I would not eat it. I also wouldn't eat anything that contained sugar. Like, what? So I was basically rejecting like every food that existed, and I was just being like way too high stress and getting super mad anytime someone tried to make me food or offer me food. But yeah, also if you're curious how I felt when I first went vegan, the first 2 or 3 months I felt amazing. I had more energy than ever. I was going to my sports practices and like bouncing off the walls, and that's just because I was eating really fresh foods for the first time in a long time. I was drinking smoothies, getting my greens in, and I think those foods were just really nourishing to me and gave me a lot of energy. But I pretty quickly lost the momentum of planning out my meals properly, so I ended up not eating enough because you have to eat kind of a lot of vegan food to get enough calories, and I was just like 14, 15 years old, I'm not able to plan out my meals properly. I'm just a kid. I ended up just like not eating enough calories and being super sluggish and so tired all the time. I actually got acne for the first time in my life. That's when my acne started, which lasted like 3 or 4 years until I started Curology, LMAO. Love you, Curology. And later that year, I like fell into a really deep depressive episode. Also don't know if that was veganism or a puberty thing, but it was all happening at a weird time. I was really confused, didn't know what was causing what. So that was my experience with my first year of veganism. Then towards the end of high school, I finally chilled out a bit. I started eating processed foods again. I relaxed about oil and sugar. And honestly, I was chilling, having a good time, being a chill, normal vegan until college started. And then I was sent to live in a dorm with no kitchen that I could cook in. I had to eat in the cafeteria every night. And the cafeteria just did not have adequate vegan options. And once again, I couldn't eat enough. So I was extremely tired, literally like sleepwalking through every day just because I wasn't fueling my body properly. So that was a time where being vegan legitimately wasn't really accessible to me, but I was still doing it because I still cared about the reasons why I started. I was thinking about the environment, the animals. I'd just been doing it for so long. Why would I stop now? A little challenge never stopped me. Also, a huge thing that veganism did was it gave me an excuse to starve myself. In public and in group settings, the deep, dark part of my brain loved having an excuse to say, oh, sorry, I can't eat that. Oh, sorry, I'm vegan, I can't eat that. So being able to use veganism as an excuse was a huge relief to me because I was like, okay, good, I don't have to eat in public, I don't have to eat in front of people. But I knew deep down I wasn't nourishing myself properly, and I didn't know how much longer I could go on like this. Then COVID hit. Boom, I got sent home. It was a long year in quarantine. Gave me a lot of time to heal and self-reflect, as I'm sure a lot of us did during that time. And it was just a big year for internal growth for me. I came to a lot of realizations. As I shifted from a teenager to a young adult, my priorities changed. I cared more about how I felt rather than how I looked. I realized the difference between my actual self and my physical body, and my physical body and the way it looks doesn't really matter. So yeah, the neurons in my brain were kind of connecting. I was starting to figure everything out. And during that time in isolation, my self-image skyrocketed. It got better. So when I finally went back in person for college, almost all of my restrictive eating habits had left the building. I was hanging out with my friends, we were getting dinner together, but during these really happy moments, veganism was still forcing me to restrict myself when I was eating with friends and just in general. In the past couple years, I'd felt like I'd healed so much, and I was just done with my era of restrictive eating, and I wanted it to be over with. I just wanted it out. I wanted to move on with my life. I wanted to be free, but being vegan was the last thing that was kind of holding me back. At least that's what it felt like. When you're vegan, you have to check every single nutrition label to make sure it doesn't contain milk, eggs, whatever. You literally can't escape it if you're vegan. You need to check every food to make sure you can eat it. If you're going out with friends, you can probably only eat French fries. It's either fries or a dry salad or a little fruit cup, unless you go through the trouble of picking a place that you can eat at. And that's what I was limited to for the past 6 or 7 years of my life. I still had to check the nutrition labels, I still had to reject food when I was with my friends, and those behaviors mimic restrictive eating and like eating disorders. And as much as veganism isn't always tied to disordered eating, the behaviors follow the same pattern. And being at the point that I was, where I felt like I'd healed so much and grown so far past my old habits, I just felt like I wanted to get rid of the last bad habit. By being vegan, I still had to overanalyze every food, check every nutrition label, and just follow those same patterns that were kind of triggering for me at that point, where I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, it literally feels like I'm forcing myself to stay in this little box that I feel like I'm growing out of. And that's how I felt for basically the last full year of me being vegan. I was having one of the most fun years of my life, living it up with my college friends, and I would see them eating food so casually and in such a fun way, like casual bag of chips, a little dessert, making exciting foods like soy marinated eggs. That's really what got me. I saw my roommate making soy marinated eggs like every day, and I was like, oof, that must be so good. I wish I could just eat a little egg, honestly. Like, that looks so fun. A little egg on rice. Like, that sounds so nice. For the 5 years before that, I wouldn't have ever thought that. But I was reaching the point where I just wanted to mature and grow out of veganism. And I was like, honestly, yeah, that egg looks pretty good. What can I say? I just really felt like I was missing out on the social aspect of food. And that is like one of the most important parts of food. I didn't want eating to have to be this huge process where I had to check every ingredient, blah, blah, blah. So one day I finally decided, this is it. I'm gonna eat my first non-vegan food. I went to the movies with my boyfriend. We watched The French Dispatch, and I ate Bunch of Crunch. And Honestly, it didn't taste that good, but I was having the time of my life. I was free. I went to the local farmer's market, got eggs from a little local farm. I loved eating egg and rice for breakfast. It was just so much fun, exploring the new foods, being able to try new things, eat new cultural foods, share meals with my friends finally. I went home for the holidays and my mom got to cook me new foods I hadn't been eating for the past few years. I was just so excited and really proud of myself because it was hard every time I ate a new food. I was wondering if this was all worth it, questioning my own values, like, did this make me a bad person? But here's what I can say. I typed this out because I didn't want to word anything wrong. For the sake of my mental health, I simply can't spend any more time hyperanalyzing food in the way that veganism requires. For my mental health, I need to eat in a way that is casual, non-analytic, and free. I've been vegan long enough to have a big impact. I don't have to be vegan 24/7 for the rest of my life to be a good person, to save the planet, etc. I care about the environment, but I also care about myself. I find so much joy in cooking new meals, trying out new ingredients. I found so much joy in eating Doritos for the first time in 7 years. I want to live a sustainable future. I want to grow my own food in a huge garden so I can have the smallest impact possible on our planet. But for my own mental health, especially right now while I'm in college, I want to be able to eat food without restricting myself. I want to eat food with my friends. I've loved being vegan. I love vegan food. I know you can be vegan without using it to fuel disordered eating. I know you can be vegan without feeling the burden that I felt. But in order for me to heal, I needed to step away from behaviors that were triggering me and pushing me further down a hole that I was trying to escape. I've battled this decision for so long because I've been truly passionate about the ethics of veganism since I first started researching it 7 years ago. But being vegan isn't the solution to every global crisis. There are ways to be sustainable without being vegan. You can live off the land, eat eggs from backyard chickens, and use leather to create clothes and furniture that will last way longer than its faux counterparts. It isn't so black and white. I understand that now. I know where my priorities are. I know what sustainability, health, and animal welfare means to me. But I've also learned what self-love, grace, patience, and boundaries mean for me too. I need to keep myself well-fed, happy, and at the very least, functioning at a healthy level. My health comes first. Also, when in doubt, it's always better to have a diverse diet with lots of variety. I feel more relaxed and excited in my day-to-day. My relationship with food has been neutralized. I know most of my viewers are either my age or younger. I want all of you to know you deserve better than to use food as a weapon or a punishment for yourself. Food is just food. It doesn't have to be glamorous. It should not rule your life. You deserve to eat. I don't think this transition is too big of a deal, honestly, because I know how important it is to me. I just wanted to make this video to explain my journey and show you guys that what you eat doesn't have to be a big deal. Mic drop. Yeah, I did that, yeah. Basically, it's been a long and winding road, as Paul McCartney would say, but I'm proud of where I am now. I'm proud of getting here, taking these steps. Do I regret being vegan at all? Absolutely not. That was a step on my healing journey. Honestly, it was a way that I became really interested in food in the first place. It was how I started cooking for myself. It's how I started finding new ingredients. It had its pros and cons. I still eat primarily plant-based. I've dabbled in eggs, a little bit of dairy, a little bit of fish even. I don't have any label for my diet or what I eat now. It really just depends, like, if I want to eat something or not. It's basically just based on vibes. Honestly, at the end of the day, I am in college. I am struggling so hard with my time. I just need food to be something neutral that I can rely on. I don't want it to be so stigmatized in my brain. I don't want it to be something I have to jump through hoops to get. I've been eating non-vegan for about a year now. I haven't publicly said anything about it until now because I kind of wanted to experience it myself before sharing that with you guys. Those years of restrictive eating that I felt during my first years of veganism were way before I ever started YouTube. I want to continue showing food in a very neutral way. That's my goal for this channel. Sometimes you can just eat some ugly food. Sometimes you're just eating some random scraps and it does not have to be glamorous. I'm just eating whatever I want. If you are dealing with any of the things that I've ever dealt with, know that I'm here for you. We will get through this together. It just takes a lot of time and self-acceptance and patience. So that's what I'm here to show you. I just wanted to share what I went through because I know this is something a lot of people deal with. Even if you were never vegan or vegetarian, you can probably still relate to things I've said in this video. We are growing and healing every year. We are here for each other. We support each other. We know it takes time. I hope you got something out of this video. I don't really know what else there is left to say, but thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for listening to me. Sending all my love to you. I'm excited to see what we have in the year ahead, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Bye.